All right, folks, I'm going to give it just a minute or two here and stuff so we can get some more people admitted and stuff before I officially get started. So thank you for your patience. Okay, by my clock and stuff, it's 1:01 here, so we want to be mindful of everybody's time. So I'll go ahead and get started, and we'll let other people in and stuff as they come in and stuff and that. But we'll go from here. So first of all, most of you know who I am. I'm Russ Means. I'm the Minerals Program Director. I'm not going to go through a lot of introductions and stuff and that. That'll just take up some time. But I do want to note that Michael Cunningham, the division director, is on board for the division. Elliot Russell, as well as Jeff Fugate, and that is our AG counsel and stuff and that for the division. So, and then you can see the guest list and stuff and that, the participants that are here and stuff today as well. So today is really the first informal stakeholder meeting for our scheduled rulemaking. We're right now that is tentatively scheduled for early 2026. If things go better, it'll be late 2025. As mentioned in previous meetings, our timeframes and stuff are fluid, so please check the division website frequently. The current schedule for all the meetings is posted there, and we anticipate keeping links to the recorded meetings and the outcomes of some of that on the web. So that's going to be your best resource for updates and the latest information and stuff from the division as we work through this process. Today, we're going to start the deeper dive into the proposed rule changes. These proposals are focused on implementing the requirements of SB 2554. That includes the reclamation-only permit, as well as some changes and stuff in financial warrant, getting rid of some antiquated financial warranties and other things. So it's also our opportunity to look at the modernization and stuff of the rules and stuff to go along with our processes. And one of the big lifts and stuff that we're trying to do is to gain continuity and consistency between the construction materials and the hard rock rules where applicable. So over the years and several separate rulemakings, some inconsistencies have occurred in that. So we want to streamline them for staff, operators, and others, so that they're as consistent and stuff as they can be. And there's also a lot of proposed changes and stuff that are just merely codifying what the division currently does and stuff in either hard rock or construction materials. We're scheduled to discuss rules 1 and 2 in depth today. We'll start from the beginning. Please ask for any questions or add comments and stuff at any time. You can use the chat feature on the side or raise your hand and stuff, and Cami will let me know that you're there, and that's so we can have a discussion. And that so and that and some of our fixes and stuff are editorial for spelling, capitalization and stuff. We won't linger on them. But at any time, if you have a question or want an explanation, please feel free and stuff to interrupt us. So if time allows, we may start on Rule 3, but it just depends and stuff on whether it would be worthwhile to do that or not. Please note that all the comments, concerns, discussions, and potential edits are being recorded. The team will evaluate them in the context of the Act as well as the practical function to the degree we can. We have also have to look at the other set of rules for impacts. I mean, this exercise is to try to gain continuity, and if we change it in one, we got to take a look and see what it does in the other one. And any proposed changes to the red lines will be posted on the website at least 1 week prior to the next meeting. So we're going to take all your comments. We're going to take a look at Rule 1 and 2, and we will go through and stuff and create another draft with proposed changes or and those things and stuff. So you can take a look at those so that we may have an opportunity to have further a quick discussion on them in the next meeting prior to diving into the next set of rules. So we encourage you to follow up with any suggestions by using the web form for submissions. There's a form and stuff right on the web. You go to our website, click on that, you can fill it out. But we'll take comments directly to me or through our DRMS general email. Any form of communication and stuff is acceptable. We're just trying to keep it on the form and stuff for easier tracking and that. The one thing we ask is that you be very clear as to the rule and the section you are discussing, and be as articulate as you can and stuff about your concerns or with suggested language. So with that, we're going to pull up the rules, and we'll roll up our sleeves and dive into our proposed changes. So Elliot, if you would please pull up our rules, and we'll go from here. Chat on the side and stuff over here. So as noted, we're going to, this is a rather grueling exercise, but we're going to go through rules 1 and 2 today and discuss the stuff, the purpose and stuff of the proposals and that. So please feel free and stuff to jump in and stuff in that where you feel you have something and stuff to add. We're going to start off with stuff with Rule 1. The first part of it is definitions. So as noted, we've done some looking between the two acts and the two sets of rules, and we're trying to make things and stuff as consistent as possible. One thing is stuff that was evident and stuff there was that the reference and stuff to the act and stuff, and that is at the very definition number 1, and we moved acid and toxic materials and stuff down to a different area. So go ahead and move on down, Elliot. Thank you. One of the things and stuff that was in the construction materials that is not in the definitions and stuff for hard rock is what an aggrieved party means. So this is being inserted in to define what an aggrieved party means. As most of you know and stuff, the bar is not very high when it comes to that in front of the board and stuff, but we wanted to make sure and stuff that both sets of stuff and that have that definition and stuff in there to just as a matter of consistency. So, all right. Anniversary date here, we're just making changes and stuff in that to the language and stuff that just makes it so that both definitions and stuff are there. We're also putting in there that the notice of intent prospecting and stuff, they have a report and stuff that's due there, and so we wanted to make sure that's clear. And one thing I wanted to make sure to note and stuff to get ahead of Elliot, because he'll jump on in here in a second. We are the numbering and stuff in that is all when we are finished with that, we'll go through and format it, make sure that all the new numbers and stuff are in place and stuff there. So if you see an XX or something like that, once we're done with all of the edits and stuff and get down to our final draft, we'll have all of those things and stuff addressed. So thanks, Elliot. So, part of our enactment of the 110R reclamation only permit has to deal with CERCLA and other aspects and stuff of that type of regulation and stuff. So we have put the definition and stuff of CERCLA here, and this comes out of the legislation and stuff there. So that's kind of a direct cut and paste and stuff there, so that there's a reference there so everybody knows what that is. So, okay. On like one thing is stuff we want to touch on complex applications in that. We also wanted to note in that sometimes the stuff in that we have public comment in the construction materials. It may also involve additional professional staff and stuff. So this is just a clarification and stuff on what a complex application is. So who's okay? And as noted, and it'll be throughout some of this and stuff is for the reclamation only permit and stuff there in that where it needs to be put in that to enact this. And definitions of failure or imminent failure. Some of this is language and stuff in that just for continuity and stuff between the two. Human health is better than any persons or whatever. That's in the construction materials. And for consistency all the way across it and stuff, toxic and acid forming materials and stuff, you'll see that sprinkled throughout and stuff in that where it's applicable and stuff in that. But it was just that's just a formatting change, if you will. So, and for filed, we added in the 110R and stuff with the requirements and stuff of 110 or a 110D in that. So this doesn't pertain too much as stuff to hard rock as much as it does to construction materials, but inert materials, we've had some issues and stuff with backfilling, which contain coal, rebar, other protruding metals and plastics and stuff. The most important thing here and stuff is that if somebody's going to be using inert material as for backfill, that's all fine and well. You have to file a technical revision with the division and stuff to outline what's going to be being placed in there. And but the most important thing and stuff is materials that contain these things and stuff. We want to specifically call those out and stuff as not being classified as inert, so that we don't end up in situations and stuff where we're dealing with enforcement issues and stuff because there's protruding metals or plastics and stuff in the final reclamation. Miguel, yes, I got. So, can Miguel there you go.
Yeah, just trying to get the camera going here if I can.
Oh yeah.
As well. Okay, hi, Miguel Hamarat with Climax Molybdenum. Just had a question just to kind of understand the intent. But would this not allow rebar that's kind of contained within the concrete, where that if there was concrete containing rebar, it would have to be kind of crushed and then remove that rebar first before backfilling?
We in general and stuff and that, it's protruding and stuff and that's where we've had the bigger cases where people have just taken concrete and stuff and thrown it out with the mangled metal and everything else and stuff in it. So yeah, so if it contained rebar, but it wasn't protruding or anything else and stuff in that, then there would not be an issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how the wording on this, I guess I don't know if it makes that distinction very clear, that if it's fully kind of contained within the concrete, that rebar would be okay. It kind of sounds kind of like that if it contains rebar at all, it would not be inert. So just something to look at maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good comment, Miguel. I think previously kind of codifying our process, we've allowed encapsulated rebar. So that's rebar within concrete or potentially if it's epoxy coated. So maybe we could tweak that language a little bit and we'll kind of roll that same change over to construction materials as well if we kind of wordsmith that a little bit.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it's the rebar or other protruding, but I can see that point and stuff in that it's in that. So yeah, we'll that's noted and stuff there. We'll take a look at stuff and see if we can wordsmith that and stuff in that to denote that difference.
Great, thank you.
All right. So the definition of legacy mine is being inserted here, and this is all part of the 110R legislation and stuff. So this is verbatim out of the legislation, just defining what a legacy mine actually means. So yeah, so being straight out of the statute and stuff, and that there's not a lot of room and stuff for us and stuff to wordsmith that. Um, in minerals, the definition of stuff, one of the things and stuff that we wanted to insert there is due to a lot of interest and stuff here lately and stuff is rare earth elements. Definition of a mineral and stuff includes a lot of different things, but it didn't, and it's always been inferred that rare earths and stuff are there, but we just want to make sure and stuff that it's clearly denoted and stuff there. In a mining operation, we added in or within refuse. This again goes back to the 110R because our definition of refuse and stuff includes waste piles and other things and stuff there. So those are all part of what's considered a mining operation and stuff in the definition and stuff there. Questions? No. On prospecting, one of the things and stuff that we wanted to, while it's always been a practice in that we've done, we want to make sure and spell out that under prospecting notice and stuff, that includes the construction of monitoring wells and stuff to conduct baseline hydrological investigations. As most of you know and stuff, and that we'll do monitoring wells under an NOI. And then if the project and stuff moves on to a permit application, that disturbance and stuff is rolled into a permit, and that is part of that the permit, and then that NOI is released. But this and stuff makes sure and stuff in that it's clear and stuff that these activities and stuff are a part of prospecting. And one of the things is stuff, the way the rules read and stuff about drilling and stuff that didn't require it, an NOI was the drill, not the 1,600 square foot and stuff, and that didn't include any kind of explanation and stuff as far as core drilling or anything else. So we're going to make sure and stuff that, drilling, if you're drilling wells and stuff and into aquifers and stuff and that, those are all part of an NOI process. In that, unless there's, if you're drilling a hole, you're going to get an NOI. That's the bottom line and stuff there. So, 59 will, and then it'll be 60 or whatever and stuff. This is where we introduce the 110R reclamation only permit, and as noted and stuff there, it's falls in pulls directly and stuff from the legislature, the statute. So the most important thing here is it's 5 acres or less, and that it's valid for 3 years for excavation and reclamation and stuff. So there's a time frame and stuff that's involved in that as per the statute. And then we went ahead and with refuse and stuff in that and included, made sure that refuse includes waste piles eligible for the reclamation only activities. So, yes, Miguel.
Okay, sorry about the delays. It has to go through, I think, approval process sometimes to on
No
your
problem.
end. So it takes just a second to get it off of mute. And I think I understand it, but on the 110R kind of paragraph, the whatever's before 60 there, when it says this exclusion includes draining adits and other groundwater expressions, I guess it could be more clear because when you first read it, it kind of sounds like those are excluded from maybe the requirement, but actually it's saying I think the exclusion it doesn't exclude these types of adits and groundwater expressions. So maybe there's a clearer way to write that. I'm not speaking very. I probably maybe not under clearly either, but.
Okay, well, in context and stuff, the next sentence up there says it does not allow disturbances and uses of adits, vent holes, or other historic features, nor activities that are subject to CERCLA and clean adit and that. So CERCLA and clean water and stuff, those exclusions are there. But maybe we could take a look. I'll have to go look at the exact words and stuff and that are in the statute and stuff there. But maybe we can strengthen that, if you will, or wordsmith it and stuff to make sure that it reads and stuff and that it's understood that if you're got a drain, you're not allowed to use edits or anything
Yep.
else or anything else. But also, if it is anything and stuff that's there in conflict and stuff with CERCLA, or in any way touches expressing water or something like that.
Yeah, there's
So.
no permit. So yeah, something to, okay, thank you.
All right.
And just so since I'm jotting down notes, Miguel, is your request for clarification, does that start with the reclamation only does not allow for, or are you more focused on this exclusion includes language?
Yeah, I think it's saying, so it almost sounds like in a way, if you don't read the whole context, it sounds like it could be maybe misinterpreted that draining adits are excluded from the reclamation permit requirements. And I think what we're saying is you can't get a reclamation permit for anything that contains draining adits or groundwater excessions. And so it's just trying to make that very clear for anybody reading that.
Yeah, we can certainly clean that up. And as Russ kind of works his way closer to the section specific to 110Rs, it does a better job of kind of outlining when this permit can be obtained in scenarios where it doesn't apply. But yeah, we can try to clean that up a little bit and see what we can do.
Yeah, anything we can do and stuff to make it crystal clear and stuff, and that's I'm all for that. So.
Hey Russ, real quick, I think we might have a question from Angela. I'm quite unfamiliar with Zoom as well, Angela, so I'm not sure where the raise the hand feature is, but I could try to unmute you.
Raise the hand is under the React.
Yeah, under the React
on the bottom there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the heart or whatever. If you click on that, I think it comes up. Yeah. So.
I found it. Thank you, Elliot. No, I'm good for now.
Okay.
Thank you, Elliot.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you, Angela. And thank you for being. This is your second one of the day and stuff too, and stuff. So it'll be double mind numbing and stuff here. 62 and 63 are being stricken from the definitions simply because under Senate Bill 54, these types of antiquated financial warranties and stuff are not going to be accepted anymore, so they're being struck. So, any questions there? Nope, we're good. We moved toxic and acid forming materials down just into alphabetical order and stuff down here. It made more sense down here when we're talking about other things and stuff. So there wasn't any change in the language or anything else. It's just a repositioning.
And hey, sorry, Russ. I was just going to say, skipping over the technical revision, we have a slight modification here. And we'll get into this a little more thorough when we get into Rule 1.8. But this has to deal with removing technical revisions from a permit application. And technical revisions are for approved permits. And so kind of a slight adjustment on the definition here about proposed versus approved.
Yep. Thank you. Yep. Perfect.
And then also growth media as well, expansion on topsoil.
In a lot of our applications and stuff, and that we really with hard rock, especially and stuff, we know that there's not always by definition topsoil and stuff. So a lot of times and stuff we start referring to it as growth medium, and so we just wanted to add that in and stuff, and that kind of explains the stuff. You know, topsoil or growth medium is the sometimes that's the best thing we can do there.
Yep, and I think throughout the rules, it's kind of used interchangeably. We might ask about topsoil somewhere in the reclamation plan, but then later we reference it as growth media. So our suggested tweak was to just add it to the definition, so it's a catch-all. Exactly. One doesn't mean different than the other.
Yep. And will be a new 71 or whatever definition of a waste pile, which comes out of the statute and stuff. This means legacy deposit placed on the lands and stuff in conjunction with the legacy mine, which ties into our definition and stuff of legacy mining. So, All right, and with that, we are already on in rule 1.2. So, is there any questions so far? We've got the comments and stuff on the definitions and stuff. If there's anything else and stuff in definitions and stuff before we move on to 1.2 and beyond. Yes, sir, Miguel.
Yeah, just wanted to, I haven't studied this, but we looked at refuse and then we have this definition of waste piles. So have you guys kind of looked at where if you can have a reclamation only permit for waste, and then that also applies to refuse, and if those are all connected kind of properly?
I think we looked at them and stuff pretty carefully and stuff there, but if you think there needs to be, yeah, you know.
Yeah, I didn't look at it. I just was a question that came up.
Yeah.
Double check.
I think when on the draft, when we got before to this stage, we did have that discussion. I think there was some mentioning, and I think we tucked the definition of waste piles also into refuse, but then had kind of a standalone definition as well, where essentially it could be a matter of terminology between different folks, but.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think as I read it again, it seems like they do tie together.
Okay. Yeah, and Angela has a question in the chat and stuff of that. Does waste include tailings and that, or exclude tailings? Historic legacy tailings and stuff in that certainly would be part of any refuse pile in that, as long as it fits the definition of a legacy mine in that. But in the context of what we have going on here, so. And some of this, like, you know, you see affected versus permitted land. That's just a consistency issue and stuff in that throughout the regs and stuff in that we're trying to make sure it matches up and stuff here. So, unfortunately for hard rock side and stuff and that, a lot of the changes and stuff that are in the construction materials are reflecting all of our hard work and stuff that was done 2019 through 21 or whatever and stuff on our last rulemaking. So that helps out and stuff on this side a lot. One of the things and stuff that we're doing as part of our modernization is our e-permitting is getting ready to roll out for applications and amendments and so forth and stuff actually in the next couple of weeks. And so in the rules and stuff here, we're trying to reflect acceptable methods and stuff for submitting information and stuff through that process. So you see the language and stuff here for signature or other certification that's designated and approved by the office. Some of the hard copy forms and stuff now require a notary public or something along those lines. With the e-permitting and stuff, it'll be a testing to everything being stuff there and clicking on a box and stuff in that. We've looked at that, and that's perfectly legal form and stuff for what we've got going on with this. Unfortunately, with financial warranties and stuff that deals with banks and stuff, that's going to be a whole different thing. But when it comes to applications and stuff and that's what this is trying to do and stuff is eliminate the need and stuff for a notary so that through our electronic process. So and the modernization and stuff, electronic proofs of service and those kind of things and stuff with counties, the county clerk, those kind of things, you'll see that and stuff in here and stuff as well. So, and most of this stuff that we have in here is just the things that are required and stuff that we're already asking for and stuff on applications, or they're part of that e-permitting process and stuff that are there. So any questions there? Okay. So in parent 7 here, we're talking about calling permit applications, and we're adding in technical revisions as being potential for being complex, especially in hard rock. It's a little bit less than stuff in construction materials, but technical revisions sometimes and stuff involve, especially with our bigger sites and stuff, more than 30 days and stuff. And that typically if we have engineering, stability analysis, other things and stuff that have to go into a technical revision, it goes beyond the 30 days. So we're adding technical revisions in here and stuff so that we can, if we need to, we can call it a complex. It's always a conversation between us and the applicant and stuff, and that for consensus and stuff here. But it's just providing that tool and stuff and that to extend those decision dates and stuff if we have to. And you will see this throughout the red lines and stuff here. If the date does not fall on a working day, then the date will automatically be set to the next working date. What this is where we have applications and decision dates and stuff that are due on the weekend. We are just putting it in the rules and stuff that it's extended and stuff to the next working day. There was discussions about making it the working day prior or whatever, but we didn't want to short anybody a day under the statute and stuff and that for sure. So by giving the extra day and stuff there, that just is leaning towards caution and stuff and allowing the applicants, operators and stuff and that extra day if it falls on a weekend. So just to clarify some things. So. And some of this is just spelling out some things and stuff that that's an editorial change there. We're adding in the 110R reclamation permits under 1.42. And parent 4, and that just really quick and stuff, we're just, as per the discussions, the legislation and stuff, and that all the general requirements and stuff of a 110 are going to be required for a 110R. And this just kind of spells it out. It also spells out what a 110R reclamation permit shall not be issued for, in that where there's already an existing permit, and it can't be converted to another type. There has to be it has to be done in a 3-year time frame, and the reclamation shall not be issued to sites and stuff that are under EPA response actions or CERCLA or under the controller CERCLA or other agencies with remedial actions. So these are designed and stuff and that for operators and stuff, but we want to stay out of federal cleanup actions and stuff and that as much as possible. So, yes, sir, Miguel.
I was just going to jump into this. Might be a good section where when we're working on the wordsmithing of the definition of the 110R that we put in down here, Roman numeral 4, and kind of talk about the sites that have adits that drain or expressing groundwater seeps or anything like that are going to be excluded from
exactly
110R permit.
All right, Miguel,
is that
you're muted?
Yeah, I think there's maybe someone on your end has to click a button and it takes a second.
I've been doing it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. A few questions on this section, if it's okay, or comment. Since this is kind of a lot of the meat of the revisions for the regulation here, and on A3, this may have come straight from the statute. The two ors in this section, I'm just wondering, should they be ands, or is there a better way to write that, or that can be written to, because it seems like it would apply to surface, groundwater, and radiation requirements.
Yes.
But I'm not a lawyer either, so.
Yeah, that's a good point and stuff in that. So like I said, you read through all this and stuff, you get to a point where you're cross-eyed and stuff. So that's a good point and stuff there and stuff in that. I agree and stuff with that it could be and or it could be and or whatever and stuff. We'll take a look at that and tweak that.
And then on the little 4, it references section 34, 32, 116. Is there a place in this reg where those requirements have also been included, or can they be and just reference the regulation, or does it have to reference the statute just to make it more accessible and easier to kind of understand?
I know it's rule 3 and stuff and that. We'll have to take a look at that and stuff and cross-reference that.
I think some of this was this list of kind of a checkbox items you have to include. It tried to draft this so it mirrored the other 110 and 112 requirements. 116, the performance standards, they are included in Rule 3, Rule 6. We could probably come up with some regulatory citations there as well, but I think the reference to statute was just so it was consistent with the rest of our regs that kind of tie things back to statute where we can.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, but maybe if it's already, if there are parts in the regs, that might help to make sure we're covering everything that's needed both in statute and reg.
Yep, you bet.
Let's see. What did I have? The official match. Okay, and then the BI, this might be fine. So this is trying to say that if there's an existing other type of permit, the 112R or 110R cannot be issued kind of to that same mining area or to any of that material, right?
That's correct and stuff in our meetings and stuff and that with stakeholders and stuff during our legislation. There was a concern and stuff that there could be a loophole or something for somebody with a permitted site to use this and stuff and that to somehow get out of other responsibilities and stuff and that under an already issued permit. So so if there's already an existing permit, then we can't do that, and we can't convert a say a 110 regular mining permit to a 110R, and that you can't reverse engineer it, if you will, and stuff there. So that's the reasoning behind that.
That makes completely agree. That makes sense. Okay, and then just on 2, is this saying that if you've already kind of exceeded your time limit for completion and reclamation, then you can't then get a new permit for that same material?
I think that might be actually the projected timeframes. Like when we get to Rule 6, Rule 6.6, I think that's where we discuss setting forth the timeframes associated with the permit. So if an operator proposes it's going to take 5 years to mine this 4-acre stockpile that they found up in the woods or something, they're not going to be allowed to do that because that exceeds the timeframes associated with the bill.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, the idea and stuff and that is kind of a scoop and go as we've been used the term and stuff and that for this and that is it's not a long term kind of thing. So similar to in construction materials where we have special 111 permits, there's a time frame associated with that to get that done. Doesn't mean that at year 3, if the grass isn't quite there, we extend it. Under rule 3, we can extend it beyond that for letting the grass grow or something like that. But all the activities and stuff need to be done and completed and stuff in that 3-year time frame. So.
Okay, so maybe I don't know if that helps, but maybe which is expected or requested to exceed or something like that. The 3 years.
Okay. Like proposal timeline.
Yeah,
for
maybe
activity.
that would help to just kind of clarify what the context there. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions? I don't see that. Okay, we can slide to the next one.
Yeah, I was just taking a few notes.
Yep. What, you can't write and scroll it?
I was going to say, as you scroll to find the next red lines, Miguel, some of those sections you identified, they were kind of cut and paste language from the bill itself. I think in regulations we could expand on it to clarify things a little bit, but there certainly is that 3-year restriction on the 110Rs.
Yeah, but yeah, we can expand there in that. So 146, we're just adding in the 110Rs and stuff there. Yeah. That's the working day definitions inserted there. No, this is editorial. And that's just a clarification in the heading and stuff, and that the application fees and stuff for these particular designated mining operations and stuff in that. So.
Yep. All of the fees outlined in 1.5 are for DMOs, but at first glance, you might look at the table of contents and figure this is where your fees for all hard rock sites are.
Yep.
So we kind of several headings in here, we just clarify DMO.
Public notice process and stuff for the 110R is the same and stuff as for a 110 and that. So, and our procedures and stuff there. And that, so it's just inserting it here. And as noted and stuff throughout the rules and stuff, and that there's just some editorial stuff and that changing that to who or this or that or whatever. So there's nothing substantive there. So this looks like a whole bunch of stuff, but it really isn't. One of the things is stuff that through some different meetings and stuff, we came up with public notices and that where what's a sufficient number instead of prescripting like every 200 feet or whatever. There was some that wanted them every 25 feet and stuff. It was all over the board, but a sufficient number along publicly accessible areas. There may be mine sites and stuff in that have a public facing along a highway or a public road, but on the backside and stuff in that it may be totally owned and stuff by the operator, whoever, whatever. We just want to make sure and stuff that the notices and stuff that are required and stuff are along publicly accessible. It seems reasonable that you don't have to put them in stuff where it's not and that. And then this whole section and stuff that's struck out here, all we did in that is kind of pull that out and break it up because it was this long sentence and stuff, and we broke it up, just reformatted it and stuff to make more clear and stuff in that I and then double I and stuff, and that what's required. In the construction materials this morning, one of the things and stuff that they brought up is can you go back up to I? And that the name and address and phone number of the applicant is adding in the email address and stuff of the applicant and stuff in the public notice and stuff. So that's under consideration. I just want to bring that up to you guys and stuff, and that's because if it's going to go in one, it's going to go in the other. I realize, but this also and stuff, our board is tuned in and stuff and that to more transparency and public engagement. So having maybe an email address and stuff and that where somebody can contact the applicant or operator directly and stuff and that is just one more way and stuff of being able to open up those doors. So, but like I said, it just breaks that up and stuff, and that makes it a little bit more easier to read than a one long sentence and stuff there. And in here, this is also, just reworking some language and stuff and that to make it more prominent and stuff about the office website.
And so this is going to jump into the Rule 1.8 section where we're dealing with permit applications that are under review for our filing, and how we kind of handle adequacy review responses versus the rules indicating technical revision.
We looked at this in well over 95% of the time and stuff, and that any issues that we have that would be technically classified as a technical revision is all covered under our review process. So a technical revision is not required. So if something requires that kind of a change in that, then that's an amendment to the application or an amendment to the amendment. That don't happen very often, but it just, for one thing, technical revisions have a fee with it, and but all of our adequacy reviews and stuff cover everything and stuff that a technical revision and an application and stuff would cover. So it just seemed kind of in trying to clean up some of this, it just seemed like common sense and stuff to get rid of that because it's not used in the process. So.
We do have an expansion on subsection 5 here, kind of explaining what is considered an amendment to that application that's under review.
Yeah. There's a significant change in the mining plan, shifting from one type of milling process maybe to another, adding in something that controversial, or changing post-mine land use from one to another, and those kind of significant changes and stuff that would obviously that should require a public notice and public input and stuff there, and at least notice to other jurisdictions. Those are the kind of things and stuff that would be covered under an amendment, not changing seed mixes or whatever. So, yeah. So. Yes, sir, Miguel.
Okay. Hopefully not kind of chiming in too much to get through what you want to.
No, you're going to find. Yeah,
it's great to have the opportunity to kind of discuss and ask questions. I think I did have a question on this section, but maybe first, just to move up in order, I wanted to kind of better understand this number 2 here, and I know this has been in there for a while, but just to make sure that I understand the process and if there's any opportunity to make kind of just improvements while we're here on the kind of order and timing of how the amendments get submitted to the county versus when those kind of get posted or submitted to the DRMS, because it's always a bit challenging and kind of the back and forth and how we manage that. And so just see if there's maybe any opportunities here. But so generally, I mean, the way I'm reading this is we need to file an amendment essentially with the county on the same day that it's filed with the DRMS, and then within 5 days provide that documentation that it was submitted to the county on that same day, right? Is that sound right how I'm reading this?
Yeah, I think it's prior to submitting it to us, and I think it's actually in statute and stuff that where this comes from and stuff. And
okay,
look at stuff really fast here and stuff too. But I think that this is one of those things. Yeah, I get it. It's always a challenge and stuff there, but I think is the way the statute reads and stuff is prior to submitting the application to the division, the applicant shall, place a copy of that in there. So, and then, I don't know whether the 5 working days, in that, but certainly when it's submitted and stuff and that, we have to have proof of that. So, I don't know whether we can
So
streamline it.
I think this is the, also to kind of back up, we are talking about the specific example of you have a permit application or a permit amendment on file with our office, potentially a conversion. So one of the substantial permit reviews, and then now you are amending that permit. So it's a pretty rare situation, and so I don't think this same language is located within your standard process of providing the clerk and recorder copy versus when the office gets it. We can check into that for sure, but potentially the intent of this is that you don't have your revised permit application sitting at the county clerk and recorders, and then that's like the public review copy, and now the office doesn't have a copy. So like, if you've amended your application that's under our review, it's more or less, I think it's a timely filing to make sure we have the most up to date. If you've chosen to amend your application on file, that it should come to the division pretty quickly compared to the normal process.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about the context and stuff that we're talking about, the amendment, an amendment to an application, not the application itself. So, yeah.
Okay.
And so it's a little different also, like an amendment to an existing permit, it's not the same process.
Got it. Yeah, thanks for that clarification.
Yeah, because you guys, like with Climax, you guys have your existing permit. Your only major modifications now are through amendments, so you would deal with, and I think that would be under potentially Rule 1. We'll get to it here shortly. It's either 110 or 111.
Yeah. Okay. Look at that. And then you mentioned on 5 there, you mentioned, Russ, kind of what your intent was by including like a significant change to the proposed mining plan, because that's kind of the difference here, right? It was more specific to reclamation plan or post-closure land use, and now it also includes the term mining plan.
So in the event like you had like in your operation you have like a surface pit operation that's proposed and under review, and then during the review of that permit you choose to now go underground or something substantial that changes your mining plan, your reclamation plan, where it more or less warrants a new filing, and so an amendment to that permit review.
Right. Yeah. All right.
Okay. And we're still under, it's under a new permit and an amendment to that new permit. So
yes,
different context. Okay. Thank you.
It's like modifying your application that's under review. And so like maybe it's in response directly from an adequacy review question we ask, or maybe it's something that you choose to modify on your own after you've submitted your application.
We've had an instance of stuff where we had an application that included cyanide and stuff, and then they removed that cyanide and went to a more conventional milling. Well, that's a significant change in the mining plan that people needed to know about. Those kind of things. That's that magnitude, if you will, and stuff there.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Scroll on.
Yep. So and here again, this is all talking about technical revisions and stuff for applications. So we're just eliminating that. So, and then we start getting into permits. Yeah, it's something that's technical revisions to permits and stuff. So like this is just carrying forward and stuff, the decision dates and stuff, and it falls on a non-working day, and that, so there shouldn't be any issue there.
And then this would be your 110 section, Miguel, on amendments to your approved permit.
Your existing permits. So.
But we don't really have any edits on that. Just a few little cleanup, consistency with how that same term is worded, or that same subsection is worded in construction materials.
Yep. And conversions. Some of this language and stuff, parent 2 and stuff was talking about construction materials in that, and we were looking at that, and it just seemed like it was out of place here. it made sense in the construction materials and stuff with the act and the rules and stuff and that, but here it just read funny and stuff, so it's not necessary. So we're proposing just to strike it to clean it up.
Yeah, and I
And
think that might have been a carryover from when the rules were bifurcated,
Yeah,
hard rock versus construction materials. This was a section that potentially got left behind in hard rock that shouldn't be here, but it
Yeah.
is located in construction materials already.
yeah, and then here is our exclusion and stuff of 110Rs and stuff that in that pursuant to the statute and stuff, and that they can't be converted. So, yeah, so. And everybody, I know this is riveting conversation. So in that, but it's the heart of what we're doing here and stuff in that. So I appreciate everybody's patience and input. So.
And then this is discussing the 110R permit and succession of operators.
Yeah. 110 Rs and stuff, and that after internal discussions and stuff, that they're not going to be eligible for permit transfers or succession of operators and stuff. And that, for one thing, the fee is so nominal, and the idea and stuff of these are short lived. There's no reason and stuff in that for a transfer, a succession of operator. They just need to do it or withdraw it or whatever. So.
And then I think within Rule 113, that a lot of these changes were obviously in the last rulemaking in 2022. There's just a few little cleanup on typos, and since we pulled it into construction materials now as a draft red line, we've discovered a couple areas that more or less are just typo fixes.
Yeah, and Miguel and a lot of you that were involved in our discussions and stuff on temporary cessation, last rulemaking, production, and development. I think we spent an hour in our first meeting and stuff discussing this very subject, and that a lot of the same questions and concerns and back and forth and stuff were related to those to that definition and stuff that we came up to and stuff and that and that. So, but we did point and stuff out to all the hard work that went into it in our last rulemaking with the hard rock groups and stuff and that, and the reasons why we are where we're at and stuff with those definitions. So, a million and one different definitions of production. Paul, he probably could pull them all up for me right now, but yeah. So, but those definitions and stuff and that were through a lot of the hard work and stuff in our last hard rock rulemaking. So. Yeah, and yeah, just a little bit of cleanup there. I didn't see anything there. So yeah, so.
Yeah, I think the only thing was it might have been a little overlooked with this notice of resumption of mining, but that's been added in there now because the rest of this rule talks about it.
Yep. All right, annual report inclusion. I think the biggest thing here is we're just codifying and stuff what's we're asking for on our e-permitting, our annual reports and stuff. So that's all there. So we're making sure that there's that and clarification and stuff on what kind of map and stuff or the information on the map. The other part of it is, each year and stuff, we ask for production reports on the first of the year. They're required under 3424 102. So we just put this in the rule and stuff to make sure everybody was aware of that and stuff there. So so that it's in the rule, it's in our rules and stuff that calls out that report and stuff in that. Miguel, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, for the mapping requirements, I think there's a distinction between the permit boundary and the affected land boundary, right?
Yes.
And would you like also to maybe have included the affected land boundary and then the disturbances within the affected land boundary, or I'm not sure if that's specified in this new map language.
Yeah, I think a lot of this might have been snagged directly from the annual report form itself. So this is kind of codifying what we've been asking all operators to submit.
But
Um,
but it should and stuff actually include it does sort of the extent of current disturbances to the affected lands.
Yeah.
And so, and anything that's newly affected, but maybe we can, I know that comes out of the form and stuff in that, but maybe we could, or we should and stuff, delineate between permitted and affected lands and stuff a little
Yeah.
bit better.
Yeah, and potentially it could go into the this is the annual reports for all of Hard Rock permits, and we do have the distinction that 112 operators can have a difference, although it's not ideal sometimes, but there's a difference in affected land versus permit boundary. But all of our 110 operators, the permit boundary is the affected land boundary. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
potentially
So,
this might have been a catch-all.
yeah, I think that's actually where it came from and stuff in that, but yeah, so.
Okay.
But we can-
And then, the form, the current like annual report form, it doesn't require the map, does it, to contain these things? It just asks the questions, or is that have that language for the map as well?
It's not it's not a run-on. This is just to put it into rule, but each one of those questions where it asks about like the how many additional acres will be, are projected to be opened up in the next year. There is a note on there that you should be indicating this area on the annual report map as well. So
Oh.
any of those questions where you report acreages on like how much was reclaimed previously, there is a note in there to identify that those acreages on a map.
Oh, I see. Okay. Great, thank you.
On our annual production report, we touched on base on that.
And, and some of real quick, some of those changes up here where we were identifying, like we removed the word reclamation here and we're identifying here is because this is the annual report. It includes the reclamation report on your anniversary date, unless you change it, and then the production report at the end of January. And that's for metallic mineral production, which is most folks, but not all.
Yeah. Yep. And then we kind of reworked Rule 1.16. When you looked at it, there was some verbiage and stuff there that this was kind of all over the place and stuff. So we struck that out and we reformatted it and that to better explain some things and stuff that are required and stuff for an operator's address change. For it used to say as soon as possible or this or that. Well, we're just saying we're putting a date on it and stuff and that to kind of put it in a box and stuff because that was pretty vague and stuff. Same thing with the sale of the property. Changes of property lease. Sometimes the stuff we get permits and stuff in that where there's a sale and stuff in that, but leases and stuff change and stuff, and we need to have the legal documentation and stuff in that that connects the dots and stuff to show that you still have the proper right of entry. The same thing as stuff. If there's any change in the business name or ownership, this is all stuff that was there, but we're making sure that that's done within 30 days. The notice of bankruptcy and stuff that comes out of statute and that, so you have to let us know right away in that. Operators name change. If you want to change it and stuff, then it was always kind of vague how we did it. We way back when you could do it once in that, but it was a policy. It wasn't a rule or anything else. But if somebody wants to change the name and stuff, it has to be done through either the succession of operator at that time they can change it, or we're going to say you have to do a technical revision because we have to go through our database and change things and stuff in that. So that's just keeping track of that. And then also we've added in 1.16.7, the death of an operator. Unfortunately, from time to time we will lose an operator, literally, and people contact us and stuff with what's required, and that. And so we're making sure and stuff that we're just kind of spelling out and stuff what needs to be done, and give them a 60 days or as soon as practical and stuff for the legal representatives and stuff and that to contact us and stuff and that, and try to get things squared away. So, all right, and with that, we'll stop right there for a second. That's rule one, and that the definitions and our notice processes and stuff there. Is there any questions, concerns, and stuff beyond what we've already talked about that we need that somebody wants to bring up before we dive into to rule two? Having seen none, okay, we'll move on to rule two and stuff, which shouldn't be that lengthy and stuff. We're doing really great here and stuff, and that. Thank you guys for your patience. So, like I said, a lot of this and stuff is just editorial stuff that's tweaking to modernize in rule two. So we're not doing any major changes and stuff here. Like I said, a lot of this was the hard work we did before, and it's a bigger lift and stuff in construction materials and stuff because we did it here, but we didn't get it done over there. So making so.
Yeah, I think we might only have about 7 rule subsections that have red lines within rule 2.
Yeah.
Versus Hard Rock might have or not Hard Rock, construction materials I think had 25.
Yeah. So it's a bigger lift on the other side. So, all right. If there's anything here during conferences. We had here, hold on just a second. There was, yeah, that's fine and stuff. And we don't have anything there and stuff. And I was double checking something. So, okay.
And that's it for rule 2.
All right. Do we we've got about 20 minutes or so and stuff in that. Is everybody agreeable and stuff to continue on? Any objections? Okay, well, we're going to dive into rule 3 and stuff here then and stuff. So in rule 3 and stuff, this is a reclamation standards and that. There were some changes in verbiage and stuff in it with Senate Bill 54 that's kind of worked their way in here, as well as the 110R reclamation only stuff. So, and then also some language and stuff that was some words and smithing and stuff out of construction materials and stuff, including the additions of pasture land and wildlife habitat, those kind of things and stuff. So, Elliot, let's go ahead and roll with it then. So,
okay.
Okay, so Miguel, or I think it's Miguel, and so in that, so we can circle. What we'll do and stuff, and that is we'll go through this and stuff, and that, and then and maybe that'll flag something. So if you haven't had a chance to look at Rule 3, that's cool. But we'll go through what we have here and stuff. Maybe we can identify some issues that for further discussion and stuff and that at our next meeting and that, but and maybe it'll give you a focus and stuff on what you need to, if that's okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say there's not a lot of substantive changes here. It's a lot of just statutory language and a few cleanups in Rule 3.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say we've got about I think there's 18 rule sections that might get a red line, but some of them might be pretty simple. These first few are just the 110R permits. Kind of, since it's a 3-year clock, they don't really get the 5-year clock here that's spelled out in the time frames.
Right.
So we had to exclude them.
And then under our materials handling and stuff, part of this is the 110s, Rs and stuff, but making sure that in some of our mining operations and stuff, we have the old school way of stuff was exposed high walls and stuff were okay. Our current standards and stuff in that are for safeguarding and trying to minimally blend in to the natural topography as approved, and that so sloping and other things and stuff that are in there. So we just wanted to denote that a little bit, clarify a little bit that if the high walls aren't eliminated, there needs to be some additional work and stuff that's going to probably be required there. Not necessarily has to be, but probably and stuff there in that. But that's what we added in and stuff there. And then also, this is part of the definitions, toxic and acid forming. This is throughout the form and stuff there too. So, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Miguel's got a question.
Yes, sir, Miguel.
So, sorry, I put my thumbs up and I was trying to raise my hand. So
Okay. Well, okay.
Just looking at, the wording here is this for like reclamation, like final reclamation for the mine, or is this a different?
Yeah,
that'd be final reclamation. And
I guess thinking about like a high wall being like graded to blend with the natural topography. If you think about the scale of like a mine pit or something like that, there's really it says at a minimum blended into the natural topography. So just maybe, I don't know if that's the intent, but thinking about when you do have a pit, there's really no ability to start regrading or blending that.
Yeah, and I think some of that intention on this one was staff suggested this was kind of on the fringes of the high wall for where you have native slopes coming into a high wall where potentially there's a small wedge that could be backfilled onto that bench. Like if you have, at Climax or the bigger sites that have multiple benches coming down and those high walls are going to remain during final reclamation, there's an opportunity to kind of blend right into those benches.
and also the other
I think
thing
it's a small wedge, but I'll let Russ.
Yeah, and also it's something that approved mining plans, we're not going to go in and require you to change your mining plans from what you're already approved from.
Mm-hmm.
So it understands that those big pits and stuff and that there's not a lot we're going to be able to do there, but maybe on the fringes and stuff and that we can blend it in a little bit or something that's along those lines. Okay. Final reclamation. So yeah.
So maybe it's just soft. Potentially think about like the softening of that, like at a minimum language, or as applicable or feasible, or just something like that to make it kind of fit within the context of the operation.
Okay, I think we can do some wordsmithing on that to recognize that. Yeah.
And it looks like we got one more, maybe also with Climax
here.
Yeah,
Eric. Can we unmute him?
Yep, I think I just did.
Okay, great.
Hey, can you hear me? Sorry about that.
You're good.
I would echo what Miguel was talking about. It would almost be better if we could say, or at a minimum, blend it into the natural topography, because anybody building a high wall, trying to blend, there's a reason it's a high wall. That's a reason it's benched. Like it's extremely steep. Like trying to blend that it's almost a non-starter. And so I would lobby for, if you can't eliminate the high wall, safeguard it with a fence or something. I'm guessing that's what safeguarding means. Or at a minimum, blend it into the natural topography. That's something like that to give some flexibility to operators, because I think that's going to be extremely difficult to implement.
Right. Okay. And totally agree. I think it's up there, and that's some of this language and stuff like that, crossing and stuff between the two different acts and stuff of that. Looking at quarries and some other things and stuff there, it's a little bit of a different situation than our bigger open pit mines. So, but maybe like you said, making it or at a minimum. We'll look at that and see if we can come up with a like as Miguel said, a softer approach and stuff to that. So
Thank you.
Yeah. You bet. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah.
These changes with importing inert fill, this is almost codifies most of our current practice of when we receive inert fill notices. Typically, it's in the construction material side of things, but this rule does live in hard rock. And so, talking about submitting it as a technical revision, we also excluded unless otherwise approved by the office, we've excluded 110Rs from importing material because the intent is a scoop and go. And then at the end of this section down here at G, essentially a report about the activities on what inert material was brought into the site, how it was placed, basically in accordance with this TR, and then kind of recertifying all the material was clean.
Yep.
I think there was a slight typo here. We talk about prospecting and mining later on in the sentence, so this kind of was more restrictive here. And we have a few citation fixes buried within, I think, subsection 6 here.
Yeah. It's editorial. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there's that, and then topsoiling and stuff, and that we struck out words necessary to remove overburden in order to mine them. It just seemed kind of redundant, if you will, and stuff like that, because you have to topsoil has to be removed and segregated. So that's we just thought that kind of cleaned that up a little bit. If it's available, and that here's where we get into growth mediums and those kind of things. But and more important thing and stuff is we've had some operations and stuff that have stripped topsoil and not replaced it, and it's just sat there for a year or two and it's destroyed the topsoil. So we want to make sure and stuff that it's topsoil and stuff is protected and stuff if it's not going to be used in the same growing season. So.
For sure. And that 180 days, most of those who have been on this call here through the permitting, this is kind of codifying existing expectations or adequacy review that we ask about when do you seed your stockpiles once it's stripped, and obviously there's like an active phase. Oh yeah, we got some questions.
Yep.
Hey,
Eric?
yeah, I'd just say that first sentence, that's the new first sentence seems unclear to me. Topsoil shall be removed and segregated from other spoil. I would lobby that we would want to make that more clear because that doesn't seem clear to me.
So
like removed and segregated from, areas that are going to be disturbed or something like that. Other spoil doesn't. It's not clear what that means.
Okay. I think I understand it. So something along the lines of topsoil shall be removed and segregated to protected areas away from other spoils. Something along those lines.
I think the other spoil is
prior-
potentially like overburden. So if you've got 6 inches of topsoil that should be stripped and segregated versus now you've got 15 feet of overburden before you get to your deposit. The division doesn't want you to strip 15 and a half feet of topsoil and overburden at once and stockpile it together, losing that topsoil.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now. It's it wasn't clear to me, but if there's any way to make that easier to understand,
Okay, well, we'll make a note of that and stuff and take a look at that. And I think I understand where you're coming from, Eric, and stuff and that. So we'll see if we can wordsmith that and stuff to make it clear. Miguel, you had a comment?
Yeah, let's see. In the definitions, I think you included topsoil and
Growth media.
growth media, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was just curious if it's needed to also include that here, or if topsoil also includes otherwise growth media in a way.
Yeah, we had this conversation, and so like I think if you do a word search on our rules, I think topsoil is referenced like 50 times and growth
Yeah.
media is referenced like 25 times. So it's either like we had a choice of having all these red lines throughout, even though we do it for acid and toxic forming materials, but we felt like adding the word growth media, potentially 50 times through the rules, or do we just kind of merge it with the definition? And so the definition, since the term is already used interchangeably throughout the rules, we wanted to just make sure that growth media is called out also in the definition.
Okay,
If that
so
kind of makes
they
sense.
can kind of be used interchangeably, is what you're saying, right?
For sure, especially like the definition itself of topsoil actually is more or less probably a definition for growth media, like the
Yes.
original before the red line.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the intent on those edits.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Okay.
And for that, I mean, we admittedly kind of took the easy approach of rather than changing multiple words throughout the regs, just kind of come up with a catch-all definition. If it leads to some confusion that there is or isn't a difference between topsoil and growth media, then maybe we do just do something more in the regulations. I guess, yeah, we'll kind of look to you all to let us know if it is preferred to just clean it up in the regs itself instead of trying to do the simple fix through a definition.
Yeah, and I mean, that might be fine. I don't know if you're going to have a statement of basis and purpose. That's another area where potentially these types of clarifications can be included and would probably suffice as well, I think.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have a statement of basis and purpose. We haven't started working on that yet. Just we're waiting to see kind of what changes come from these stakeholder meetings. As you know, you've been involved in most of our rulemakings in the past. Our SBPs are fairly high level. We don't do kind of a in the weeds detail like some of the other DNR agencies do. But yeah, things like this, explaining the purpose, especially around the 110R, a lot of that kind of rationale will be better in the SBP instead of adding more language to the regs themselves.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. In 3.110 on the revegetation, this language and stuff comes out of SB 54. There was a big push and stuff for native plant species that encourage pollinators, and that the original language and stuff and that under the draft and stuff required pollinators species and stuff and that, but we were able to, through our stakeholders and stuff, to make it where it should receive first consideration, but also denotes and stuff that introduced species and stuff may be used and stuff, and if found desirable and approved by the board. So that gives us the latitude and stuff with some of it, especially with some of our high altitude sites and stuff, and that of being able to get a good mixture and stuff of native and non-natives and stuff to get some vegetation and stuff growing there. So that's where this language comes from. All right.
Yeah, just taking a few notes. I
Yep.
caught the we did not capitalize board right there.
Oh, you got it.
And we might only have one more about the signs and markers
Okay.
in Rule 3.
Yep. So
this is the permit identification sign down here with the statement that the permit's been issued by the Mineland Reclamation Board. I think just moving into part of the intent of the rule changes is also modernization of our rules, where we're adding e-filing or we're clarifying emails. We're also hoping to, I don't know for us if you want to speak to the QR code or a website address, but either way, just more information on the sign.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this is, and stuff that is, and I've talked to different groups and stuff. So, but just for everybody, we're looking and stuff to develop a QR code and stuff that will go on mine permit site signs, and also a separate one and stuff for applications and stuff and that. But you can do a QR code and it'll take you right to our website and stuff and that. So if somebody had a question on a mine site or something, they could hit that QR code and stuff and get information on it and stuff later. So,
and I think what you're hoping to do is like the DRMS actually has the QR code like as a sticker, so like
yes.
that can be applied. So rather than putting the onus on the operator to figure out printing resolution and all that.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna,
think that's the wish list.
Yeah, when inspectors and stuff go out and stuff and that, they'll put the QR code and stuff on the sign. We'll also have it available. This is just internal discussions, but we'll also have a PDF or whatever, a TIFF or something, so that we can send it to an operator if they're having a professional sign done and stuff. They can have it done and stuff on their sign to meet their size specifications and stuff. That's fine. So, yep. So
that actually goes. That's all the red lines in Rule 3,
okay.
And we're basically on time to end the meeting.
Beautiful. Yes, in that. So I know we blew through Rule 3 here in that. So take a second look at that if you didn't get a chance to review that at our next meeting and stuff. We'll touch base on 3, and then we'll be looking at 4 and 5, and based on what we have and stuff, we might even dive into 6 and stuff. Probably we'll dive into 6, just simply because Rule 4 with the financial warranties and stuff, we're just doing a lot of striking in that. We're not doing too much of an in addition and stuff there. And the same thing with 5 and stuff with prospecting and stuff. There's just some few tweaks and stuff, so we'll be able to go through that relatively quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this information, we're going to get together, and we're going to come up with a draft. Elliot, if you want to go ahead and stop sharing.
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely.
What we'll do and stuff is come up with a draft, and anybody that's on this list and stuff here, we will send out a copy of that draft, but we'll post it on the website for everybody and stuff to take a look at. And then at our next meeting, we'll spend just a couple of minutes and stuff to see if there's any comments or considerations and stuff in that for rules 1 and 2. If it looks like there's a big hang up, we may table that for a separate meeting and stuff at a later, once we get through everything. On the other hand, if everything looks good and stuff in that, we'll dive into these other ones and stuff in that. But I'll note and stuff in that for our next meeting and stuff that we will be looking at rules 4, 5, and 6, and that, and see where we're at. And that rule 6, we have quite a bit of moving around and stuff there, so we may not get all the way through that. It's not a lot of it's more just moving some things around and stuff as opposed to new content, but it does need some discussion and stuff there for sure. And then of course we're adding in the requirements and stuff, the exhibits and stuff in that for the new 110R in that, so that those are spelled out and stuff there as well. So with that, it's 2:28. I'll give you guys, is there any other questions or comments and stuff in that before we close out the meeting? Seeing none, I will give you back 1 minute of your life. And thank you guys and stuff for all of your time and stuff in that. We really do appreciate it.